Hello, Jamie from Inky and Scrappy, sharing with you today a Slimline card using Lawn Fawn's very special stamp set. I am starting by ink blending on some Bristol Smooth cardstock today using Distress Oxide inks. I did not have a tumbled glass sponge dauber primed, so to start my new ones, I like to take the re-inker, put that on the ink pad, and then work the new sponge dauber into it so it gets super saturated with ink and it makes ink blending a breeze. And it seems to hold that ink and work fairly well for quite a while after I do that. And then when they get harder to ink blend again with them, I will reload them again with Distress Oxide re-inkers. I am going in with some Mica spray stains to add some speckles of Mica sparkly goodness to the background. And then I'll clean this up and go into my grass. I am using Scattered Straw and Shabby Shutters. And so this one I wanted it to be a little bit splotchier, not as heavily coated. And so I am going in with the blending brushes on this one over the sponge daubers. And then I will do the whole panel. I only use the bottom portion or half of the panel, but this gives me a second piece to work with the next time I plan on creating a Slimline card, or I can cut it down from there. I'm making a mess. I might as well make a big one, right? And then I will do this again. And I actually re-inked all of my stamp pads last weekend, and my hands were like, my one wrist couldn't handle it. And I was like, so I did fold and get a nail polish shaker. And this one was one of the cheapest options to do, the little spinny tool. It works pretty good. I went in with the Lawn Fawn Slimline dies, and I did the biggest one for my main pieces there, cut the grass piece from that one, and then I went in with the Trinity stamps. I think it's the background builder set. There's two of them, so I have to look and see which one it was. But this was the Slimline. I think it's the background builders, and I'm pretty sure that the fence comes in that one. They have two of them, so I don't know exactly which one has which pieces anymore because they're both stored on the same one in my book. So I just added the fence, and then now I'm just trying to set my scene, figure out how I want it to look. And I had a whole bunch of other stuff die cut out for this one. I had some totally different idea on how this was going to go, and I don't know. Do cards speak to you? I don't know. This one just kind of, had a mind of its own. It went off of what I was planning on doing. So to fill my basket, I ended up doing some stamp masking, and I just did a very haphazardly cut stamp mask there, and then one that was fairly close. I don't need it to be perfect. A lot of this is actually going to get covered up by the basket base anyways, and the basket is from the Easter basket, or Build a Basket, the Easter one from Lawn Fawn. And then I'm going to ink around the edges on this one with walnut stain, Distress ink, and the ladder. And then clean that up, and then I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing sentiment wise, and then I will grab some Hoo-Hoo markers that match the rest of the coloring that I'd already done before this, and then I will come in and color all of the strawberries in my big basket. I started with number 1. Pretty sure this one goes 1, 2, and 3, and then 5 for my colors on this one. And then my greens are the same greens that I've used in the past. I will have them all linked, or not all linked, all listed either in the description below, or you can always find them on my blog post that coordinates with. And I started with all the dark, moving to light, and going from there. My first cluster that I did, I think, got really dark, and so I wanted to make sure I had some variation, and so I went in with the lightest of the green and just kind of picked out some berries that I was going to make sure were extra light throughout the bunch there, and that way I knew not to go in with the darkest. I probably skipped the darkest 1 or 2 colors on some of those. So I was planning on doing the basket front and back, and I had actually glued it, and then I was like, yeah, it doesn't really, you can't see the back part of the basket anyways. So I just took it apart because it wasn't really connected the greatest and it wasn't dry, and then just glued the strawberries directly to the front of the basket, leaving the back of the basket off. And then I will just set this part of the scene up, popping up the mouse and the ladder, so that I'm calling him Papa Mouse. Papa Mouse is putting the strawberry into the big basket full of strawberries. And if you've ever gone strawberry picking with me, I usually take my 2 boys, and then some of my nieces go with as well a lot of times, and we end up with more strawberries than we have sense. No, I'm just kidding. We end up, last time we went, we picked for us and for them and for Grandma and Grandpa, and so I think we had the whole back of my vehicle was just full of strawberries. So when you see that big huge basket compared to the little mice, that's kind of what it reminds me of, because we end up doing like gallons and gallons and gallons of strawberries when we do them. I haven't done them in a good, I don't think we did them last year or the year before because we had enough in the freezer, but this year I'm going to end up doing strawberries again. I'm excited. They're like one of my favorite things to do, just because they're, fun to eat while you're doing them. So here is the little wagon, and then we're going to have, so the one little mouse, I don't remember where I'm pretty sure he comes from I'm not sure which set he comes from. I just shopped my stash. So he was an already pre-colored mouse. I have a whole bunch of mice that are pre-colored, because at one point in time I went through and stamped all of my mice and then colored them all and cut them out. And so I have a little container filled with Lawn Fawn mice to add to my scene. So that way when I pick out a set that has mice in it, I can stamp the mice for that set, but then I can always shop my stash of pre-done mice for for things like this. It works great. And so I'm just filling in that corner there, and I couldn't decide. I want to do one with the strawberries in the wheelbarrow too. I'm sure it's coming because I just think they'd be adorable in the wheelbarrow as well as the wagon. And so I'm just laying this one out as we went. So the little mouse that's eating, that would definitely be my youngest child, because that's what he used to do in the strawberry patch. He would pick 5 and eat 3, I think. I don't know. We always joked about the kids should get weighed before and then after we were done picking, because they probably eat just as many strawberries as they picked. They really did. They picked pretty good, but that was always our ongoing joke. So then I told them they had to weed their rows as they were picking strawberries to pay for the strawberries that they ate. And so I'm just figuring out the sentiment here. I decided to do the So Thankful and heat embossed on the actual card base here. And yes, my little bumblebee flew into white embossing powder. Silly little bumblebee. So I will heat set that, and then I will stamp and heat set the rest of my sentiment here. And I wanted something that said, like, we work well together, or, you know, something along those lines. And I couldn't find anything in my massive amount of stamps that I could, remember. And I wasn't going to look through all my other stuff. I couldn't even think of anything that I had besides the one that I did for the inside sentiment right here that was like, I think the stamp set is from My Favorite Things, and it is Let's Work Together. And that's what I wanted on the front. But there wasn't actually a sentiment in this set that said that. So together we can do anything. I decided to go on the inside. And then I will put one of the extra little strawberries on the inside to finish up the inside sentiment. And then all I have to do is cut down the rest of the front sentiment here. And I will just lop that off in the guillotine. The mini, well, it's not the mini, it's like this in between the mini and the big guillotine trimmer. And then for this one, I left the flag. I was thinking about cutting the flags off, but I had opted to leave the flag ends on, and then kind of just made it so that my end of my flags touched the end of the scripty So Thoughtful, so they kind of, I don't know, it kind of flows together, kind of like the So Thoughtful is cut out of that white paper, or, you know, so the white, I don't know, it just goes. I was really debating where I wanted the bee, and I did end up putting them lower, and I don't know, maybe I should have put them higher. I might add another bee, put them up there later. I mean, I haven't yet, so it probably won't happen. And then the little burp for my little Eaton mouse. And then I didn't want the big long trail. I ended up going with one of the little trails from the You Autumn Know stamp set, since it was out anyways. And I did jellyfish ink, and it just wasn't showing up at all. So then I went in with the, what was the other one that I used? The Salvaged Patina that I'd used on the background. And so that one you can see, it's pretty subtle, but you can still see it. And then I will just line this up and then pull off the strips, and that should be it. So there is the finished card for today. I hope you enjoyed, and there will be some more from this stamp set in the near future. Thank you for watching. This is Jamie, and thank you all for subscribing.